Hello fellow Star Wars fans, my name is Starrapter and welcome back to the channel. It's time for my review for Star Wars Reign of the Empire, The Mask of Fear, written by Alexander Freed. This one doesn't release until the new year, February 25th, 2025, but I was fortunate to pick this up from New York Comic Con 2024. It's really cool that Del Rey was able to have this book available so many months early for the attendees of that convention. So diving in, what is this book about? Well, first of all, this is book one of a trilogy, and this picks up literally like days, if not a week or so after Revenge of the Sith. So this is a book trilogy that is focused more on the political aspect of the transition of power from the Republic to the Empire. So our pivotal central characters are Mon Mothma, Saw Gerrera, and Bail Organa, and how Alexander Freed expertly kind of weaves these characters into one another and gets the ball rolling. This is really the emergence of the Rebel Alliance as we know it. This is the formation, essentially, to a certain degree. Not quite, but this is how rebellions are built. We have different ideologies, whether it be Mon Mothma and her way of trying to minimize the power of the Emperor by going through the political system, by going through the Senate. Then you have Bail Organa, who is trying to exonerate the Jedi. He's trying to make a name for Order 66, trying to show to the people of the galaxy that, hey, these Jedi were not actually betrayers of the Republic, but there was a forgery, and essentially Palpatine threw them under the rug. So he's trying to get that to the light of the public. And then you have Saw Gerrera, and his whole idea is basically, as you would expect, terrorism. Trying to just have hard targets on the Empire, dealing as much damage, trying to get that information out to the HoloNet, out to the people of the galaxy, showing them, okay, we're going to have to fight violence with violence on this one. So I really appreciate that we get to see all different ways of how rebellions are born from that perspective. So getting into my positives, first of all, this is basically a prequel to Andor, which is a prequel to Rogue One, which is a prequel to A New Hope. And actually you can throw Catalyst in there, which is a prequel to Rogue One, because this is giving you that Andor feel, right? Don't go into this book expecting to have a Star Wars traditional story of space battles and lightsaber duels and blaster shootouts, because it is definitely not that. I will say, for those of you that didn't really like Andor so much because of those things that were lacking, you're probably not going to enjoy this book. This book probably won't be for you, but those that really like Andor, oh man, you guys are in for a treat, because there is so much goodness, that same feel. Alexander Freed, if you weren't aware, he actually wrote the Rogue One adaptation, which is still, I think, my favorite of the adaptations for Star Wars in canon. He also did the Alphabet Squadron trilogy. So if you like Alexander Freed's writing as well as Battlefront Twilight Company, you're going to feel right at home. This guy was the perfect person to pick to kick off this brand new Star Wars book trilogy, because he has such a way with dealing with the grime, with dealing with kind of realism with these characters, the drama, the personal beings of these characters and what they're going through. Oh my goodness, I don't want to get into spoilers, but like seriously, Mon Mothma, the journey she goes in, the stuff she has to go through, oh man, I have a new respect for her. And that's another big positive for me, is getting a chance to dive into these characters that have always been on the periphery of the story. When it comes to Bail Organa as the father of Leia, what is he doing to kind of uphold the teachings of Padme? And that is a whole another backdrop, is you have the illusion of Padme as this character that is basically, they're trying to live up, Bail and Mon Mothma are trying to live up to Padme's legacy. And then we have Saw Gerrera, who is, we get to find out exactly why he is fighting the way he is. We get to see, getting in deeper into his character through another character that is actually a separatist. So getting to see that separatist subjective take on the Republic turning into the Empire. Is it the same? Is it different? How does that transition of power go? There is just amazing things happening in this. As far as the spy aspect of it, there are some new characters introduced. We're getting into the grime of Coruscant. We're seeing back dealings of politics in here. There's some really cool Star Wars stuff that we've never seen, basically stuff we've never seen in Star Wars done so expertly well. Just the idea of spies and what they are working as sources, as actual tutors to somebody that is actually part of Imperial intelligence and then the ISB. Getting to see stuff like that is just awesome. Getting to see the melding of the prequels with the OT at this perfect moment of that transition of power. We're seeing stuff that feels really close to home. Stuff that feels really close to home in our own society, especially in the United States of America. Seeing things with these different groups in this government. Oh my goodness, it was like, yeah, if you don't see the similarities between this book and that, then you're living under a rock, because there's some really good commentary that Freed gives on what we're going through as Americans right now in this country in this book. And that's, what Star Wars is always about, is getting to get us to kind of see things in realism in our own lives, reflecting. That's what art does very well in general. So with all that being said, there are negatives in this. I feel like the first third of this book, it's going to take a while to grip you. As somebody who has read a lot of Star Wars in the last 10 years, I do feel like this is one of the slower starts, especially because it is obviously so politically heavy, dealing with topics in the Senate and whatnot. This was very much like a House of Cards sort of story. And it requires a lot of extra attention because there's a lot of nuance to the story. You're going to have to really absorb what you're reading, especially in that first third, and then about halfway through the book it really does pick off, and I really do believe that you probably won't want to put the book down once you get to a certain pivotal moment. But up until that point, the pacing in the beginning was very slow, and that feels like it was a detriment to this book. But overall, I'm going to give The Mask of Fear Part 1 of the Reign of the Empire trilogy a score of an 8.5 out of 10. Alexander Freed does not miss. This author always does a great job, especially dealing with this rebellion era. He's always done a great job. And by the way, this is the guy that wrote the entire Imperial Agent storyline of the MMO, The Old Republic, which is still to this day known as like the best class story in all the classes of that game. So there you go. This guy is the perfect person to pick for this, and I cannot wait to see the next book. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen after we find out about this, because as you would expect, you can't get so much headway if we're in a couple months after Revenge of the Sith, right? The rebellion doesn't start a year after, as we've seen in Andor. There's a lot that happens after Andor into Rogue One. So in a certain degree, this is a tragedy, but that is pretty good tragedy, tragic stuff that we see in this book that is orchestrated so well. It all comes together in the end. So what did you guys think about this one? Are you going to pre-order this book for next year? Let me know in the comment section down below. For more on Star Wars, I have the podcast here, and I've been uploading other reviews in the last couple weeks, so make sure you go ahead and check those out, and do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That's gonna do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.